All right, let's get right into it. We're about to connect the dots between a huge sci-fi blockbuster from the 90s and, well, the phone that's probably in your hand right now. And trust me, it's a connection that is just as wild as it sounds. I mean, really think about it for a second. Your photos, all those files, your messages, they don't really live on your phone, do they? Nope, they live somewhere else, out there in this kind of abstract thing we all call the cloud. It's basically become our second brain. But where did that whole idea, a brain outside our brain, even come from? Now, you'd probably guess it was cooked up in some super sterile research lab in Silicon Valley, right? The result of some genius coder pulling an all-nighter. Well, the real story is way cooler than that. The blueprint for the very tech that holds our digital lives together wasn't first imagined by engineers for a stuffy boardroom. It was dreamed up by screenwriters for the silver screen. So here's how it all went down. It kicks off with this crazy vision back in 1990. Then fast forward to the early 2000s, and you've got the right people, the big tech leaders, starting to take notice. And that brings us to today, where that movie fantasy is just your reality. And the movie? None other than the 1990s sci-fi classic, Total Recall. Yeah, that one. But look, forget the wild plot twists for just a minute. Focus on the world it created. This movie wasn't just a fun action flick, it was, believe it or not, a blueprint. Okay, so this is the absolute core idea from the film. In the world of Total Recall, you could literally buy a memory, like a 2-week vacation or a secret agent fantasy, and just have it implanted. Your memories weren't stuck in your head anymore. They were data, accessible, transferable, just like computer files. And this is the really critical part. This wasn't just some throwaway plot device. It was a pretty profound vision, a vision of memory completely detached from the physical mind, to literally externalize a core part of what makes us us. And that idea, wow, that idea was powerful. So how in the world did this Hollywood fantasy jump off the screen and into your phone? This is where things get really interesting, where fiction literally becomes fact. I mean, look at this. The parallel is it's undeniable. The movie's vision, a world with on-demand external memories. Our reality today? A world with on-demand externalized memory. The language is practically the same because the core concept is exactly the same. So who were the builders? Who took this sci-fi blueprint and actually built it? Well, the names are going to sound pretty familiar. We're talking about Google, we're talking about Apple, Dropbox. These are the giants who built their massive cloud empires on this very principle. Data that's external and always accessible. And you got to understand, this was not some happy accident. It wasn't a case of, parallel thinking. The evidence is clear. The tech leaders of the day were watching these movies and were directly, and I mean directly, inspired by them.
And you can actually see the ripple effect. Just look at the trends. After the year 2000, you see this massive explosion in tech patents for remote data storage. You hear tech leaders in interviews and statements constantly referencing these sci-fi ideas. And what's the result? The exponential, off-the-charts growth of cloud services.
And we're not talking about just anyone. We're talking about titans of the industry, people like Google's Eric Schmidt and Amazon's Jeff Bezos. They were on record saying their thinking was directly shaped by these kinds of sci-fi visions. But there is one really, really important piece of the Total Recall vision that is still 100% science fiction. This is the missing link, the one big thing that separates their world from ours. So let's break it down. How close did we actually get to the movie? External storage? Yep, check. We nailed that. Memory on demand? Absolutely. That's literally what Google Photos and iCloud are for. But a direct interface with your brain? That is the one big glaring no. We have not crossed that frontier. Not even close. And that's really the key difference, isn't it? For us, right now, the portal to all this externalized memory isn't some neural implant, it's the smooth glass screen in our hands. The interface is still the screen, not the synapse. So let's just quickly recap this wild ride. First, a sci-fi movie just imagines this radical new way to handle memories. Step 2, The pioneers of Silicon Valley see it and get totally inspired. Step 3, they go out and build the global services to make it happen. And step 4, well, a huge chunk of your life, your actual memories, now lives outside your body. And what does that personal, external brain of yours actually look like? Well, it's made up of all your photos and videos. It's your important documents and files. It's the complete backups of your phone and computer. It's all your app data. This isn't some abstract concept anymore. This is the literal content of your digital life. Okay, so let's zoom out. What's the bigger picture here? What does it really mean that a piece of 90s pop culture ended up shaping our 21st century reality in such a fundamental way? It means this. It means that what started as a wild, far-fetched idea in a science fiction movie is now a core pillar of modern human life. Whether we meant to or not, by following that cinematic blueprint, we have successfully built a functional, externalized collective memory for our species. And that leaves us with one final and kinda spooky question to chew on. Total Recall was a story all about manufactured identities, about what makes you you. So now that we've actually done it, now that we've externalized our memory, what does that do to our own identities? What happens to who we think we are when our minds are no longer entirely our own? Something to think about.